What's going on, lads and lasses? Welcome back to 100% Mags. So, of course, I come at you today with another video on the channel to talk about, of course, the recent news that has come out from Eddie Howe. Of course, Craig Hope reporting on this one, saying that, of course, during the press conference today, heading into the game against Nottingham Forest tomorrow night, of course, live on Sky Sports, 8 o'clock kickoff for that one in the second round of the Caribou Cup, which there will be a preview up on the channel today for that later on, of course. But as for this video, Craig Hope put a question to Eddie Howe, and that question was, can you sign a right winger and a centre back in this window? So in other words, can we sign both a centre back and a right winger in this window? Eddie Howe came out and said probably not, no. But if you look at it, you read into it, we have seen Eddie Howe do this in the past. You know, remember last season when we went off to the Premier League Summer Series over in the States, we're seeing Eddie Howe in the press conference saying that he loved Harvey Barnes at Leicester City, and that unfortunately he was a Leicester City player, so we weren't able to get him. And then, of course, it all came out during the Summer Series that, you know, Harvey Barnes had signed for Newcastle United. He was pictured over in the States, actually with a Newcastle United shirt on, getting all the media work done and everything. And that was when Eddie Howe was saying that he was a Leicester City player. So we know Eddie Howe does this. You know, it's typical Eddie Howe, to be honest, and I love him for it because it's brilliant. You know, it keeps the rival teams guessing at what we're doing. You know, he doesn't show his hand. He's a brilliant manager in that aspect of doing that sort of stuff. And he would make an absolutely fantastic poker player. I mean, Eddie Howe can really bluff the media. He knows how to work the media well. And that is why we love Eddie Howe so much. And I think that is, again, a similar thing today. You know, I think that is, again, a similar thing what Eddie Howe is doing today. He's using the right words and saying the right things in that press conference today. Now, that's not to say, you know, that we're going to go out there and we're going to sign the right winger and a centre-back in this window. You know, we might only be able to get the centre-back in. But look at the options that we've got available to it that are already in the team. If Eddie Howe looks past that whole inverted wingers that we see with quite a few different teams these days, if Eddie Howe looks past that and we'll put Anthony Gordon at right wing and we'll put Harvey Barnes at left wing instead of having Harvey Barnes on the bench, we're much stronger in that attack, because then we've got Anthony Gordon, Isak and Harvey Barnes for a front three. That is a much better attack. Then you look at our backup options in them positions of having Murphy at right wing behind Anthony Gordon in the pecking order. Then you've got Almiron, if you move him from right wing to left wing, so he's on his more dominant foot from the off and he doesn't have to keep cutting back like we see him do on the right wing. If Miggy moves to the left wing, then that is again another brilliant backup behind the likes of Harvey Barnes. So looking at it, there's a lot of people have seen it. You know, Adam Pearson, Matty from the Magpie channel, a lot of them are reading a lot into what is being said in this press conference. And I've got to say, take a beat, let's relax, you know, wait a second, see what's happening, because we know Eddie Howe in the media. We know what Eddie Howe does with the media. We know how he knows how to speak to the media. You know, Eddie Howe's been doing this for years, even during his Bournemouth days, you know, when he was down in League Two and bringing them all the way up to the Premier League. Eddie Howe has been doing this for years. He knows how to approach the media. He knows what just to say at the right time as well. He doesn't give anything away. So I wouldn't read too much into it. Like I've seen quite a few people mentioning their thoughts on it. And then there's the talk, you know, of Paul Mitchell going and watching Burnley keeper James Trafford on Saturday gone, of course, when they were taking on the Mackhams. Now, Eddie said, you know, that he would like to see somebody come in. Now, that is a chance for us to get a goalkeeper in, you know, who is young. He's going to be England's #1 in the future, you know, if he's got the right guidance, he's got the right mentor there. And Eddie Howe is that right mentor. Let's look at it, you know, look at the players that Eddie Howe has here at Newcastle, what he's done with them players. You know, he's been able to improve Joe Linton. He's been able to improve Anthony Gordon. He's been able to improve Harvey Barnes. He's been able to improve Nicky Pope. He's been able to improve, you know, so many different players that have already been at Newcastle United before Eddie got here, all ones that have come in, and Eddie has improved them even more as well. So if we get James Trafford in, I'm all for it. You know, at the end of the day, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to go out there and spend that money straight away on a permanent deal for James Trafford. We could easily bring him in on a loan and then pay for him at the end of this season. By that time, you know, the goalkeeping department forward would see Nicky Pope a year older. If Martin Dubravka's still with we by the end of the season, then he'd be a year older, and a bunch of the other goalkeepers as well would be also a year older, whilst James Trafford would be coming in, of course, 1 year older, but he'd still be younger than the other 5 goalkeepers that are at the club, but would still need to obviously get rid of at least 1 or 2 of them goalkeepers. But like I say, don't read too much into what Eddie Howe has said in the press conference, what Craig Hope's reported on, saying that, you know, can you sign a right winger and a centre back? In other words, obviously meaning both in this window. And then Eddie Howe coming out and saying probably not, no. We know Eddie Howe, you know, we know what he can do with the media. We know how he knows how to work the media as well. So hopefully that has, you know, eased any frustration, any, you know, sort of aggression towards this transfer window and towards Newcastle on it. You know, if anybody's feeling a little bit frustrated, obviously it's understandable. You know, we've been messed around quite a bit with Crystal Palace and Mark Guehi, but I still think, you know, the Guehi deal will get done. I've been very patient on that one, and I will stick to me guns on it, and I do think that deal will be done. But as for the signing a right winger and a centre back in this window, who knows? You know, maybe Eddie's saying the truth, maybe we can't sign both, but let's not read too much into it at the end of the day, because we've seen it before, you know, with the Harvey Barnes situation. Like I say, you know, we're over in the States, Premier League Summer Series, and Eddie Howe in the press conference was saying that Harvey Barnes is a Leicester player, and he was already signed for Newcastle United. We've seen it with loads of players, so let's not read too much into it. You know, let's just give it a beat, wait a minute, and see, you know, what happens with this window, and then we can judge, you know, how good of a window it's been when, you know, the window is finally over and we'll get a proper look at the landscape of, you know, who we've brought in this window, and of course where we sit and where we lie with the rest of the season, you know, going on. But I'm pretty happy so far with what we've done. You know, we've done some reasonable business in this window. We've managed to bring in a really good young kid from Sheffield United, of course, of William Asula. He's been absolutely fantastic from what I've seen of him. Of course, when we played Brest, he was absolutely brilliant in that game. He hasn't yet had a chance to get a go in the Premier League, but I'm sure he will at some point. But he's going to be fantastic for as a backup to Alexander Isak and Callum Wilson. Of course, we've got Callum Wilson to come back as well off his fitness problems at the moment. And tomorrow night, we'll get to see Sandro Tonali as well return for Newcastle United after that massive long ban that he had to go through all last season. Today was the day, 27th today was the day that Sandro Tonali's ban finally ended. So congratulations, well done to Sandro Tonali. He can now play, and I can't wait to see the lad get going. I mean, he's got to be chomping at the bit to get his first kick of that ball tomorrow night down at the City Ground, of course. And I'm sure Eddie Howe will put him straight in. He's been doing loads of training during the span. He's been playing behind closed doors in games as well. If he's going to have the match fitness or not remains to be seen, but he has been playing behind closed doors matches. So hopefully, that is going to help him. It's going to allow him to be able to take that step from, the ban straight back into playing forward again. And I can't wait for, that first tackle from Sandro Tonali in the game against Nottingham Forest. But we'll have to wait and see on that one, and I'm going to be talking about that a little bit more in the preview for the Nottingham Forest game, which will be up on the channel a little bit later on. But let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below about everything I've said. Let us know how you would approach it. Like I say, if we move Almiron and Harvey Barnes to left mid, and we'll have Anthony Gordon and Murphy on the right mid, that really does help sort out that right wing, left wing problem that we have at the moment. So that's maybe something that Eddie Howe could look into instead of going down the path that many other managers have went down the path of having inverted wingers. I don't quite understand it, to be honest. Obviously, it kind of benefits you, I guess, for when you want to score if you've got a left foot on the right side of the pitch, because then obviously, they're going to have a better chance of whipping that ball around the goalkeeper. But how many times are we going to get to be able to do that? So it's much better having the left foot on the left wing, and especially in the case of Almiron, because then he doesn't have to keep cutting back to get under his dominant foot. He's automatically on his dominant foot, so he can whip that ball into the box, get Isak on the end of it, get Joe Linton on the end of it, or get anybody on the end of it for Newcastle to score a goal and impact the game immediately. So let us know your thoughts anyway down in the comments below. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all for the match preview. However, lads.